You know, I probably shouldn't be doing this in the state I'm in, but I can't help myself. And we got to talk about this 3-3 Clippers start to the season because I'm very frustrated, Clipper Nation. Welcome into Clippers Talk.
Here we go, Clips fans.
Clippers Talk with Adam Osland. After every game, download every pod. Clippers Talk's the name. He's a basketball talking golden god.
New episodes after every game on demand.
Follow Clippers Talk wherever you get your podcasts. Clippers.
Welcome into Clippers Talk. I'm Adam Osland. A early afternoon start as Clippers countdown and to tip off is just about 7 hours away. I know we got a game tonight. I don't normally do this, but I'm listening to Dime Dropper at the gym, and I'm becoming more and more frustrated thinking about last night's game and thinking about this 3-3 start and how the Clippers have let things get to this point. I know it's still early. I know. I've been plenty measured. I've been preaching patience. I have been at the vanguard of that. But they're staring at a possibility of being 3-4 facing the OKC Thunder tonight, who are 7-0, who can run you out of the gym. If the Clippers play like they did last night, they will get run. Coach Lou said it post-game. And being almost 10 games in, I've seen enough. Big enough sample size for me to say it is time to have a greater sense of urgency. And I don't say that just because of this slow start to this season. They haven't gotten off to a good start in a season since 2021. Really. I think they were 5-1 or 4-2 to start off that year. Alex Webb said Jamal Christopher tweeted yesterday, we started 3-4 the last 3 years and still ended up winning 50 games. Great. Start off faster and win 55. This group is capable of it. I said at minimum they should be 7-3 the first 10 games. They said they need to start fast. James Harden stressed this in training camp, in preseason. What happened? He had 7 turnovers in the second half last night. The Clippers had 16 of their 21 turnovers in the second half. They let that game get away from them. They shouldn't have lost the Utah game. They shouldn't have lost the Miami Heat game. I gave them grace for the loss to Utah. It's game 1. You're out on the road. Stuff happens. They still don't look right. I'm not completely panicking. There is a difference between panicking and saying it's time to have a sense of urgency. Coach Lou's pissed. You saw him last night. Said same shit over and over again with the turnovers. Do you want to hear it? He sounded fed up with it. They started off last season with a ton of turnovers. Of course, they didn't have Kawhi Leonard at the beginning of last season. Slight difference. When they got Kawhi back, they stopped turning the basketball over so much. So he's there to start off this season. What's going on? If you don't value the basketball, you don't value winning. I cannot believe how lackadaisical some of the turnovers were last night. Tuka, are you with me? It's hard to be a ranting lunatic when there's a cute cat staring you in the face. Listen to this from Coach Lou last night.
But they loaded up, showed Kawhi the crowd, but it didn't come down. It came down to just turning the basketball over again. 16 turnovers in the second half. Same shit over and over, man. It's the same stuff.
Listen to that frustration.
In the second half, same shit over and over, man. It's the same stuff.
I don't know what it is. Veteran team, sleepwalking into the season, tired legs. They got to get their sea legs. They're too old to start fast. This has been going on forever. For 5 years. Different circumstances. The circumstances are better. They're healthy for the most part outside of Bradley Beal, and I'll get to that in a second. You're starting off the season with a healthy Kawhi. Kawhi has looked great. He gave you 15 points in the first quarter. Why do you got to get punched in the mouth? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Well, the Clippers' plan seems to be getting punched in the face, tasting their own blood, and then waking up. They're down 12-2 to start off that first quarter. They call a timeout. They go on a 16-3 run. They had to use one of their runs, because that's what it feels like. You have so many in you. It's a game of runs early on because they just didn't get off to a good start. I never want to hear again about matinee madness with the Clippers starting slow during those old 12:30 starts at crypto on a weekend. It had nothing to do with that. Teams start slow regardless. But last year they were better because they knew they had to be. They had a sense of urgency. They knew they had to be great defensively, or else they weren't going to survive in the Western Conference. The biggest reason they won 50 games last season is because they were the third best defense. You want to know what they are right now? 20th, while being 14th on offense. Yes, there are moving parts. There are 4 new players. But if your defensive effort is there, and you have that as your floor and your foundation to build off of, then even if you're not playing well and you're inconsistent on offense, you're fine. Know how I know this? Because the OKC Thunder have shot a miserable percentage from the outside. They're missing Jalen Williams. They've been missing Chet. But their defense is the most reliable thing in sports. The Clippers' defense was very reliable last season. Some of this is, yes, turnovers on offense hurting their defense. But they're simply not engaged enough to start off games. Three and 3, 6 games in with this schedule. It's only going to get tougher. Sure, they could rip off winning 20 of the next 25. They could. They've done it the last 2 seasons. Last year, 18-3 stretch to end the year. The year before that, 26-5 stretch. What if you actually start the season fast and still get one of those runs? Now you're winning 55 games. Now you're a top 3 seed. Yeah, this is the first back-to-back of the season happening now. And if they get smoked by OKC tonight, last night's loss looks even worse. Looks like the one you need to get. And instead, you had 9 turnovers in the third quarter, leading to 17 points for the Miami Heat. Offensive fouls, a 5-second violation, just careless miscues. James Harden, I think he had 0 turnovers in the first half, had all 7 of his in the second half. Down the stretch, James Harden with those 2 turnovers, one throwing at 3 feet in front of Kawhi, one looking for Ivica Zubac later in the shot clock. Yeah, Dime, I was listening to you earlier. And it reminded me of just how frustrated I was last night watching that ball game. This is where I'm at. They could turn it around. They could win tonight's game with or without Kawhi. They could find a way to have one of those gritty Clippers victories, those stay ready games where somebody steps up, Brook Lopez, CP3, or they could get run and be 3-4. And that's quite frankly unacceptable with this schedule to start off the season if you want to be a serious contender. That's how I feel right now. Overly emotional, yes. But I care a lot about this team. I'm passionate about it in the fan base, and I know how frustrated you guys are right now, and I'm there with you. Say it ain't so. I will not go commiserating. It's just it's baffling to me that the most reliable thing you could rely on with this team apparently is getting off to a slow start. Just tough. Yeah, Dime, come on pregame with me. We haven't done that before. I'm not here to blame the back-to-backs. They're just starting one tonight. Do I have some solutions I'm going to offer? Yes. Is this something the coaching staff, is it lost on them? No, they know what's going on. I think this is more on the players. Some unserious basketball being played. Coming into the season, I understood the starting lineup with DJ in there. You need a point of attack defender. And Bradley Beal may or may not have been promised a starting job. And if that's what you had to do to get him, fine. That's better than the alternative of not getting Bradley Beal for $5 million. It's a great pickup. But my biggest concern was his health coming into this season. Because Doc Rivers used to call injuries disruptors. And I think what he meant by that is that flow, that chemistry meshing with your core guys can be disrupted if one of them, that's an integral piece, is not fully there yet. And Beal's already missed 2 games, and when he has played in the other 4, he's been on a minutes restriction. He's still getting up to speed. His timing and rhythm isn't there, and even if it was, he still would have to gel with his new teammates. It is not ideal, and that was my biggest worry coming in because it felt like those times where they're reintegrating Kawhi or a big piece, and there just isn't that consistency. And that is proven to hurt the Clippers so far. It's not Beal's fault he got hurt. It's just one of the things they're dealing with. It is one of the reasons for this. MKXLNT saying it's a conspiracy to get you doing Clippers talk on the daily again. I can't go down that path again. 213 straight days last season took me out. But today I felt compelled. If nobody else wants to have a sense of urgency, I will. I think this is a huge game tonight. I think the Clippers can still win. They also could get blown out and be 3-4. And that just shouldn't happen. Guys are playing way below their capabilities in Lopez, in CP3, Bradley Beal, obviously. But when I mentioned DJ in the starting lineup, people liked it. His versatility defensively, point of attack defense, you do have to have that. Maybe we picked the wrong guy. Because DJ's been really good, but there are intangibles to Chris Dunn that are just different and give this team a lift, a spark, and they need it starting off halves. Because multiple games right now, just like last night, Chris Dunn comes in and flips them. The Clippers look out of sorts, and Chris Dunn comes in and flips the game. I think it was the game against Phoenix also that he did the same thing, that I thought he was the best player out there. He was that good. Well, last night he has the steal on the inbounds play to start the 4th quarter. Multiple tip outs. He's doing Patrick Beverley type of work. And he is reminding them how hard you have to compete. And I keep saying that because I always said it for Patrick Beverley. There is more to him. He's unstatable, going back to Doc Rivers, whatever you want to say, there are intangibles to certain players with how they compete out there where Pat Bev could turn a regular season game, a 1 of 82 game, into a playoff type of atmosphere, into a competitive landscape that raises everybody's intensity. Well, I don't know how many times Coach Lou said it last season, but he preached often, we have to play like Chris Dunn plays. What does that tell you? He's their identity. Maybe that's wrong. That so much of what they do defensively is dependent on one guy bringing that energy and that spirit. But damn it, I think it's true. Chris Dunn absolutely is able to raise the level of play for this team and to get them to play the right way. So yeah. And Kawhi and Bradley Beal are both out tonight versus the Thunder. So guess what, guys? You're getting a new starting lineup out of necessity, not because everybody's available. Do I expect Dunn in there? Collins? Probably. Maybe Batum. He didn't play heavy minutes last night. Maybe there's a reason for that. I need Dunn in there to start off games, especially in a game like this. Now, I thought he was going to start against Golden State. That didn't happen. But if you're saying all of last season we need to play like this guy does, he might have to play 30 minutes a night. Dunn competes as hard as anybody. And when you see that, it's inspiring to the rest of the team. And I don't love the intangible stuff you can't quantify. But it is obvious. And Chris Dunn's offense has looked better so far this season. So what exactly is the downside? The downside is if you promise a starting job to Bradley Beal and he's not right and doesn't look like himself, but you can't take him out, or DJ is going to feel some type of way, which he's been great about in the past. Derek Jones Jr. can come off the bench, can start. You're worried about having 3 small guards or 3 smaller players in the starting lineup. If it's James Harden, Bradley Beal, and Chris Dunn instead of DJ, I don't worry that much about that because Dunn's not getting picked on defensively. That's what you worry about when you go small, and he can still get rebounds. It's not perfect. Perfect would be, I said during the summer, Bradley Beal comes off the bench. You have Collins and Chris Dunn in the starting lineup next to Harden, Kawhi, and Ivica Zubac. That's the ideal starting lineup, but I don't know if that's on the table for them. If Bradley Beal was told, hey, come here, you'll be able to start. And it's only 6 games in, and they can't go away from it yet. Maybe ever. Maybe it's the same problem they have with Russell Westbrook when they brought in James Harden. What do we do here? Well, Russ apparently eventually said, hey, I'll volunteer to come off the bench. Bradley Beal going to do that? Should he have to do that? Do there have to be some tough conversations? Is that a part of all this? I think so. I'm just really frustrated with this start because there's a better team on this roster that we haven't seen yet. I don't even know. So many people are complaining about Collins. Look, I'm all for Collins starting. Never had an issue with that. But I got Law Murray on the show, and he said Collins was still getting up to speed according to the coaching staff. And he has looked behind at times, and he's made some errors out there defensively, and he hasn't looked great at times. He's been good, though, but his energy's always there. You can rely on that. He and Chris Dunn have motors. on a team that is sorely missing pop, as Coach Lou would put it, juice out there, you got two guys that fly around. So even if Collins is out of position here and there, I think you can live with that. But it's only 6 games. So does Coach Lou have to be cognizant of the locker room? Can he really go to DJ, who's played this well so far? Derrick Jones Jr. has been awesome. Individually, he's been great. Whether or not that starting lineup has worked, and I'm not putting it on him, but it just hasn't coalesced, that's different. But individually, DJ has been awesome. He's done everything right. That's a hard conversation. I don't think you can wait too long. I have been more than I think fair. As you guys, plenty of people in here called me a homer, protecting Coach Lou and all these things. And it's like, I just know there's a lot more to it than plugging in this guy or that guy. There's egos that you have to take into account. And you don't want to lose guys for the season because let's say you make a change in the lineup and that doesn't work. And now you want to go back to this guy, but he's tuning you out because you already pushed the eject button on him. That's a problem. These are the type of things you have to consider. And nobody wants to because it's just easier to get mad and say, oh, Coach Lou sucks and Ty Poo and all these things I see in the chat all the time. But I'm trying to find some consistency that leads to wins right now. Hell, they could bring in Chris Dunn with DJ. For all I care. And go Harden, Kawhi, Dunn, DJ, Zubats. I'm looking, that lineup in 18 minutes has a plus 45 net rating, an offensive rating of 148, a defensive rating of 102. It's only 18 minutes, everything small sample size theater. I just need this team to show up and start games. It is so glaring that after that first time out with that same group, that they could go on a 16-3 run after being down 12-2 last night. That they're just not ready to play. Weren't ready to play against Utah. Got down by 10 against Phoenix. Coach Lewis talked about it. Said after the first 7 minutes, we're one of the best defenses in the league. So what is happening? At some point, there's got to be some accountability. If that means a hard decision to the starting lineup, I just don't know what those conversations are going to be like and how certain guys are going to take it. These are all things that the coaching staff has to worry about. This may have been the easiest 10-game stretch of the season, and they're blowing it. If they start 3-4 and then end up being 5-5 after the first 10 games, even 6-4, that's just not good enough. Not in this West. They can get it back. Plenty of time left. Right now, there's 76 games left. I just think you have to have a higher sense of urgency. And that has been missing from this team in this era overall. Doesn't mean it's always been like this, but this has been a running theme. I'm like, is it because they're old? Or is it because they're just not ready to play? Because I think they were the same age to start that game after the first 2 minutes when they're down 12-2 as when they came back in and went on a 16-3 run. So I don't know if I can use old as an excuse when after that first timeout, they turned it around like that. So I think they were sleepwalking. We'll get into Zubats here in a little bit. But the Bradley Beal stuff really hurting them. What are you supposed to do? Not play him? You need him long term. He had 2 threes in that third quarter, but he's not playing fourth quarters. He's not playing more than 20 minutes. For how much longer? He's not even playing tonight, so I don't know. He and Kawhi are both out, as many predicted. Kawhi turned his ankle late in the game. I don't know if I'd ever play Kawhi in a back-to-back anymore anyways. I said that after the swelling in his knee in March or late March of 2024. It's like, I'm going to err on the side of caution with a player that injury prone. And I feel like there's probably a better chance he doesn't get injured if he's not playing back-to-backs. I know. How can we know from the data whether it's good or bad? Just guessing, if I had to lean one way, probably doesn't help running around out there versus resting for a guy that has had constant issues with the right leg. So, can tonight we get the same effort as we saw, I think it was against the Boston Celtics to start off last season? They were down many men. They were at home. It was early in the year. And they almost pulled off a victory. I want to say it was against Boston. They lost in overtime, 117 to 113. Let me see who was available that game and see if it was the game I was thinking of. They scrapped. They had DJ, Mo Bamba, Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, and Kevin Porter Jr. starting. Well, we know Zoo and James Harden are available, so they have more talent than that tonight. Are they going to fight? Or get trucked by the defending champs, who, let me check their injury report, because they have had their own issues and they're still 7-0. J-Dub hasn't played. The other Jalen Williams has a shoulder issue, took part in shoot-around earlier. Dort has an illness. He participated in shoot-around. Yeah, I think they're going to be good to go outside of Jalen Williams. So you're seeing a damn good Thunder team. What is it going to take to get up for this game? To not be down 10 points in the first quarter? Because that has happened at least in 3 of the 6 games so far. Pretty inexcusable. Here's another lineup. It's only played 11 minutes. James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Ivica Zubats, DJ, John Collins. 128.6 offensive rating, 86.4 defensive rating. That's a net rating of 42. Seems good. 11 minutes, I know. It's not going to hold up, but it's something else they could try more. It's another variation of a starting lineup. But if the deal is that Bradley Beal has to start, that could be a problem if he's not right. I still think he's going to be really good for this team this season. I've seen a lot of body of work from Bradley Beal and who he is as a player. And if I just go off the last 2 seasons with Phoenix and he's that guy, they're fine. Doesn't mean they're fine defensively to start off games, though, even if he was right and healthy. Doesn't mean that's the most optimum lineup, even if he was good to go and healthy. right now, it's not just that he's playing poorly. He's not up to speed. Even if he came into this season fully healthy and played all their preseason games, it was going to take time anyways with this starting lineup. But you throw in the fact that he's on a 20-minute restriction, has missed 2 games. It's just a wrench in the gears, unfortunately, for a team that is having trouble getting it going. Kawhi's looked great so far. That first quarter was unbelievable. The shot he hit over the double team on the right baseline in the fourth quarter to bail them out on what could have been another turnover with just lazy passes and guys not being able to handle the ball. That shot was incredible. But I didn't like his last 2 shots, forcing a couple on the right wing. First one well defended, short against Andrew Wiggins, and then the shot at the end of the game. I don't understand. You're down 1. Why are we taking a 3-pointer? Aside from the timeout, I'll get to that. But Kawhi brings it into the front court with 16 seconds left. Get to your spot and fire, because you're only down 1. And I said this against Sacramento. I think it was a similar situation. You're down 1. So with that much time left, just get a good shot. Don't worry about the clock. You don't have to run out the clock, because they could get an offensive rebound, or even if Miami gets the board, you foul them, they hit both free throws, you're still down 3 with a timeout left. Why do you have to run down the entire shot clock, or the entire game clock? He had a moment where he could have taken Norman Powell one-on-one, and maybe it was the ankle bothering him, or he was just tired at the end of the game, but he waited till the double team came, and they loaded up, and now it turns into a long 3-pointer in a game you're down by 1 to win it. Baffling to me. Now, I would have taken the timeout. I understand Coach Lou saying he didn't want Eric Spoelstra to get time to put in defensive personnel or to put in a defensive strategy. Looked like they were well coached enough to fire late on Kawhi anyways, after he didn't initially make a move on Norman Powell. I don't know. I'd rather be able to draw up a play. Especially all they were doing late in the game was trying to get the ball out of Kawhi's hands, James Harden's hands. They made some spectacular shots, but like DJ or Dunn or John Collins were left wide open for 3-pointers, and Ivica Zubac was basically frozen out of the game, because that's what happens like nightly. Sorry, I can't even believe how underutilized Ivica Zubac is still. There was a possession, I wrote this down late in the ball game. He's calling for the basketball on the left block, and they don't get it to him. Can Zoo be more demonstrative about it and demanding? Sure. Does he really need to be at this point? Do they not know who they have on their team? How effective he is? It's just gross. It's hard to watch. They are making it easier to be beat. Harden closed out, or excuse me, Bam Adebayo closed out on Harden on the left wing. He was trying to go to work against him, and then fired a ball in there against Ivica Zubac, who had, I think, Norm on him. It wasn't a great pass. That was one of the bad turnovers late. But that wasn't even the play I was talking about with Ivica Zubac clearly asking for the ball, and I saw it on his face. He got frustrated. I get frustrated when I see that. Yes, Harden and Kawhi, 2 years ago, they were the top 2 ISO guys in the league by far. They're still great at it, obviously. Do you want to rely on a steady diet of isolation plays constantly? Would you have a big man like that late in a ball game when guys are tired? I don't think Zoo has regressed at all. I think Zubats has not gotten the basketball. And I think there's a combination of too many new guys, too many moving parts, too many different lineups and rotations that they can't figure out. Maybe agendas. I don't know. But they need to quickly figure out who plays well with who should be starting, and how they need to execute. And just take care of the damn basketball. I don't know how many of the 21 turnovers were forced. Maybe like half of them were unforced turnovers. You know, you go into a ball game and Coach Lou says this all the time, but you go in, you're going to have 10 turnovers. It's just going to happen. The other team's out there too. But what about, in this case, the other 11 that the Clippers had? Yeah, I expect Ivica Zubac to get the ball today. If he doesn't get the ball today, I don't even know. And it's going to be tough. Chet's going to pull him out to the perimeter on the other end, which I would expect John Collins in the starting lineup for rebounding purposes, because that's what Nikola Jokic did against Ivica Zubac and why the Clippers didn't rebound well in that series. He's being pulled away from the basket because of the guy he's defending, and Chet can also shoot it from the outside. So have John Collins in there, please, to get rebounds. There's no Kawhi. This is just, hopefully they find a way tonight, because this is not the start that I know Clipper Nation signed up for. 76 games left, plenty of time, but every game matters. The hope is you learn from some of these losses and turn them into wins later that you otherwise wouldn't have gotten if it wasn't for the lessons you learned during these losses. That's the hope. But I see the same problem that they started off with last year, with less excuses for it. Last season, you started off without Kawhi. James Harden had to handle the rock way too much. They had KPJ as the other option, and so they had a slew of turnovers. This season, why are you averaging 18 turnovers per game with CP3, Beal, Dunn, and Kawhi? You have the ball handlers. You have other guys. They shouldn't have this many turnovers. But there is another factor, and this is a variable I didn't account for coming into this season, not to this degree. The NBA, at the wrong time for the Clippers being the oldest team in league history, has gotten even faster. It's a copycat league, and everybody saw the Pacers and the Thunder get to the finals and how many young guys they had and how fast they were playing and the substitution patterns and keeping guys fresh. They said, we want to play really fast out there. And they are. And that is the antithesis of how the Clippers want to play. For instance, the top 3 teams in pace last year were about 103. This year, you got the Miami Heat playing at 106 possessions per game, the Wizards at 105, Portland at 104, Dallas at 103. You got almost the top. There's 10 teams that are playing at a pace 103 or faster, when there were 3 last year. I expect the numbers to go down, but there's going to be, overall, by the end of this season, more teams playing at a faster pace than there were last season. That hurts the Clippers. So fatigue can lead to mental mistakes and miscues and errors and unforced turnovers. They're dealing with that. That's just, hey, This is the personnel you have. This is the trend of the league. And the Clippers are 29th in pace so far this season. It's not like you can't win doing that. Houston's 28th, and they're 4-2. There are good teams that play slow. San Antonio, actually, Oklahoma City is playing at a slow pace so far. They're 26th. But they'll be playing a lot faster if you turn the basketball over left and right. Because that's what we saw last night. Don't need to see that again. Just brutal. And there are ways to lose and feel like, hey, the other team outshot you. They were a few possessions better. It was a well-played overall game. Then there's last night where you just beat yourself. So I'm venting because of what happened last night and because of what could happen tonight. And starting 3 and 4 was just, that was not on my bingo card, as the Kings say. Either this team is just in a position where they're not ready to start the season because of injuries, because of Tuca. Do not bite the cord. Hey, electrocute yourself. The Clippers need a jolt, not you. Either it's because understandable reasons, 4 new guys are trying to integrate. Beal, Collins, Brook Lopez, CP3. One of those is hurt, who's a starter in Beal and on a minutes restriction. Or they're too old and not as good as we thought. I think they're going to turn this around. Kawhi still looks great. James Harden's scoring the ball great. They need to take care of it better. But I didn't see this slow of a start happening. Did you not get your wake-up call getting blown out by Utah? That's what makes me think, okay, these things are fixable. They're correctable. You've already gotten smoked twice. The second half against the Golden State Warriors, which I think that was different. Clippers just couldn't hit shots. But still, what is it going to take to get going? What is it going to take for this cat to listen to me? Had to bully her right off the table. Stop waiting to get punched in the face to engage the competition. Please get Subas involved more. And maybe we don't have to wait 10 games for a lineup change. I know we got a new lineup tonight. That's built in because no Kawhi, no Beal. But desperate times call for desperate measures. You might have to have those hard conversations with guys. It's not ideal. Neither is starting this slowly. Need the urgency now. No, I don't think John Morant's the answer. I don't think you're familiar with this game. If you're not going to change the starting lineup this early, the least you can do is, if you're down 10-2, and I know they turned it around, or 12-2 last night, you can get guys in right away. Because Coach Lue, I think after game 1 or game 2, said if I have to make changes early on in games because guys aren't ready, then we'll do that. Well, they're down 12-2. They stuck with it. They went on a 16-3 run, but I was kind of shocked we didn't see a lineup change then last night. just to send a message to these guys that, hey, if you're not going to come out to play multiple games in a row, and I see the same thing again, that's it. Is there not enough evidence to say, hey, you had your chance? Look at this. I have to make changes based upon your play. The defense is what saved them last year. While all these other things could be going on, they were much less talented to start off last season, but the defense was there. If you can at least rely on that, you're going to be okay. And they can't so far. I think Chris Dunn could be an answer there. Maybe he and Collins. But Dunn is like, that's their heart and soul guy. The way the Clippers need to play, just look at Chris Dunn. Not everybody can do what he does, but you can compete and play hard and give effort like that. Zubats has not fallen off. I'm never like I'm keeping receipts on this stupid shit. I'm sorry, but Zoo's off to a slow start. He's also not getting the basketball. There's more mouths to feed out there. Thinking Zoo is the problem. Yes. Can he play better? Yes. He also is dependent on getting the basketball. Go look at the fourth quarter and him asking for it and never getting it. It is on video. I just if I'm frustrated and have been for years with Zoo being frozen out, imagine how he feels. How about consistently getting him touches? Like that's just a part of the game plan. It is a non-starter to go away from Zoo every night. It's an emphasis. You have to get him the ball. Every quarter, you have to get him the ball. Why can't he get the ball like Jokic? Okay, now we're getting crazy. Maybe because he's not one of the best offensive hubs in the history of the game. That would be why. Can't shoot from the outside. We don't need to go overboard. But 9 shots last night ain't good enough. At least get him the 12 that he was getting last season. At least. Guys, Brook Lopez is a 3-point shooter out there to stretch the floor. If he's not doing that, then he's not Brook Lopez. This is why you brought him here. He struggled the last 3 or 4 games from 3. He's still a good rim protector on the other end. His defense has still been good. What was your super chat? I'm sorry. I'll go look for it. I apologize. I'm scrolling up. If I get a super chat, I should probably read it. It doesn't exactly make them stand out as much as maybe this app should. What was the question? I believe that you did put a super chat in. I thank you for that. What was the question? If you could rephrase it or reiterate. Thing is, they ended up the Clippers beating 2 faster teams in Portland and Phoenix already. Yeah, Zubats, why can't he get the ball like Jokic is stupid. That's just casual stuff. I'm sorry, I'm not in the mood. Hey, Tuca, stop. Oh my God. You see these hands? Lopez defense has not been shit. He has had some huge blocks. What the fuck are you? Did you watch the Portland game? He blocked Shaden Sharp at the rim twice. Mana said, always knew with all these all-stars there would be a power grab with Lou, who doesn't know how to tell these guys who is coming off the bench and who gets the ball down the stretch. Maybe he needs to be more stern. I don't know. Lou's not perfect. Every coach has their blind spots. But sometimes I do feel like he could be a little bit more forceful. And maybe when I talk about lack of urgency, maybe it starts because the Clippers don't have, the biggest vocal leader. It has to be Lou most of the time. They don't have a player guy like that. Maybe he's got to do more. I don't know. I know he's made some tough moves before, but the Marcus Morris thing in the 22-23 season, I criticized him heavily for that. It went on way too long. Way too long. We're only 6 games in. I just know the direction this is going right now isn't a good one. What was the super chat? I'm still wondering. Now I'm curious. Curiosity killed the cat or the atom? What was the super chat? I agree with A Fish. Why not a timeout? It moves the ball into the front court. Insert all offensive players of his choice. Well, but then if you take the shot early, then you have offensive players out there instead of defenders. But I guess it only matters if you make it. Drop a play, can have multiple options, don't need 3. Advantage is Spoelstra won't know the play. Look, I said right afterwards, if you look at the live last night, I said I didn't like the shot. I didn't like not taking a timeout there. Go look at the first thing I said as we go into break in the live section on the post-game show last night. I didn't like it. Do I think it's logical to not want to give Eric Spoelstra time to set up his defense? Yes. I think Coach Lou has a point there. It's not crazy not to take the timeout. That's where I will push back. My preference would be to do it, but it's not crazy to not have done it. Bon Jovi or Bon Jovic, Chris said, I've seen the way Brook Lopez plays in the past. This season is very young. It is. But you lose tonight, you're 3-4. You win tonight, that's a huge momentum win. If you scrap and beat OKC, who hasn't lost a game yet. Cat's biting the hell out of me. I don't know if you guys saw that. I mean, ideally, Beal would always come off the bench. I said it all summer. But I'm also not dumb enough to overlook the fact that they probably said, you'll be a starter if you come here, because he could have gone to other places. So if you want to get that guy, you probably have to promise him a starting job. And I think the trade-off of not getting him versus having to give him a starting job, I think you give him the starting job every time. I don't think that's much of a decision because he's a really good player and can help this team, and you're getting him for $5 million. Anyone would do that. I know he hasn't played well yet. He's been hurt. And it doesn't help when you're trying to implement a guy like this that is going to end up being such a big part of this team, but he's not right yet. Jermaine Ox is just very unhelpful here. I got to give him a timeout. Even worse is you're going through adversity, early season adversity, which maybe ends up being a good thing for this team. They deal with it now. But you're going through all that, and now you got to see SGA and the defending champs, who are 7-0. I don't think many of you guys understand who Ja Morant is. For the right trade, sure, but I don't know. But He has regressed as an athlete. He's getting to the basket 20% less of the time, and his shooting has never come around, John Morant. Pretty simple. I think this was the guy that put the super chat in. First sports guru. Lou doesn't appear to have an offensive system in place. That's bullshit. Zoo's hands are bricks, and his defense is not as good as last season. Also overreaction. Rotations are an issue. Okay. Lou is not assertive enough. Okay. Collins must start. Okay. I don't know if just Collins starting fixes everything, and I'm fine with it. Offensive system, like you couldn't drop a play if your life depended on it, apparently, if you can't tell if there's an offensive system out there. Look at the best guy for this would be Justin Wilson on Twitter. We'll post plays. He's really good at reading the game and schematics and stuff. To say that they don't have an offensive system is absurd. Yes, it's a lot of high pick and roll. It starts there because it's smart. It's one of the most difficult things to defend and one of the easiest things to run. But they have plenty of variations off of that as well as other set plays. As for the other stuff, Zoo's hands are bricks. False. Like this whole thing of Zoo's hands are bricks, like, well, then why doesn't he have 5 turnovers a game? Why doesn't he average 5 turnovers a game? Like, that is easily refutable. Defense not as good as last season. Maybe it hasn't been, or maybe the point of attack defense hasn't been as good, or maybe he's frustrated out there. The question is he still capable of playing as good as last season? And that's an easy answer. Yes, of course. Rotations could be an issue. I've mentioned the starters. I've been talking about that the entire show. I have given reasons for why they wouldn't want to change things too quickly because there are egos in the locker room that you have to manage. Could you criticize that and say, well, those are the hard decisions you have to make? Yes, you can criticize that. Collins must start. As I said last night, tired is Collins must start. Wired is Chris Dunn must start. Chris Dunn represents how this team has to play defensively. I don't think SGA has to gear up for the Clippers. He gears up for every game. He's the freaking MVP. Regular season finals. He walks into 30 points. Trade Harden for Austin Reeves. You guys aren't serious. I'm trying to be serious here and have a sense of urgency and to vent and to show a little frustration because this team isn't playing to their capabilities. These things are fixable, but it needs to start tonight. Uh-oh. Against OKC without Kawhi, without Beal, that's a problem. Yeah, that's why you have to win last night. Hey, the Clippers get this game tonight, I wouldn't be shocked. They've done this stuff before. But if they lose it and you're 3-4, last night's loss looks even worse. Surprisingly bad start to the season. But maybe it shouldn't have been because this team seems to refuse to get off to good starts. I know tonight Ivica Zubats better get 15 shots. I know that. Without Kawhi and Beal. Business said it. I'll throw out a question. Is it possible that other NBA teams have made adjustments to Zubats in the pick and roll with James, and that's why Zoo isn't playing as well as last year? I don't think that's the case. Like adjustments to the pick and roll, like playing more zone. The Heat played some 2-3 zone last night. That can disrupt things, but I don't think that's it. I think it's more self-inflicted wounds by the Clippers, and Zoo is just criminally underutilized. Here's the problem with this. Whose responsibility is it to ensure the team has a better sense of urgency? Whose responsibility is it to ensure you don't beat yourself? If you think the coaching staff was not harping on them all last night and pregame about not turning it over, when I hear that stuff from Coach Lou in the pregame already, they're telling the players, they're giving them the message. They are not asking them to turn the ball over 9 times in the third quarter. You have to hold players responsible for that stuff. You do. If you want to say, well, Coach Lou then should bench James Harden if he's turning it over, it's like, well, Harden's also hitting those crazy threes at the end. I don't think you can take him out. The guys out there on the floor are the ones making those lazy ass turnovers. I don't think that's Coach Lou's game plan. Blaming him for that stuff doesn't make sense to me. If you want to say overall, his demeanor, he's too laid back. Maybe he needs to be more fire and brimstone to light a fire under these guys. Okay. I guess I could accept that. He also was swearing post game last night, so I'm sure they heard or will hear some swear words too. I just doesn't hold players accountable, you're saying? He's a players coach, doesn't hold them accountable. Maybe there could be stronger accountability. I'm open to that. But it's a players league. We give players so much of the credit and then conveniently want to blame the head coaches sometimes because maybe we don't like them or you have an agenda or you're just a Zoo hate or a Ty Lue hater. Thanks for the super chat, OC Real. We need a young Thundercat that thinks they know it all to attack each night without thinking of the long season. Our youngest guy whose season is Zoo, but you said underutilized. Let's go Clippers. Zoo, Collins, those are two guys that are on the younger side, entering their prime. And then Chris Dunn just plays with seemingly unlimited energy. First sports guru, Adam, I agree you must hold players responsible. What do you hold the coach responsible for? That's $1 million question. As I said, I would have called a timeout. I think he could have. I think rotations can be better. That's all stuff that's Coach Lou. He can have more of a sense of urgency with a quick trigger or a short leash when guys aren't playing well to start the game. I thought when they were down 12-2, he might actually change the starting lineup. But they went on a 16-3 run right after that. He stayed with them. Yeah, it doesn't help that the Lakers got that win last night against Portland without Austin Reeves, Luka, and LeBron. Every coach has their blind spots. None of them are perfect. Miami Heat complain about Eric Spoelstra. I promise you. The Golden State Warriors complain all the time about Steve Kerr. I promise you. You would complain about whoever the other coach would be if you want Coach Lou gone. I promise you. Question is, what are you willing to live with? I'm willing to live with Coach Lou. Even with his faults. He's by far overall a net positive for this team. He's a very good head coach. He's a top 5 head coach in this league. He gets voted every year by the GMs, best in-game adjuster. What do the GMs know, though? A lot. More than you guys that are like, he doesn't run any offense. I don't see it. Like, you know what a Spain pick and roll looks like if it... I was about to say something I shouldn't there. Yeah, Nick Smith Jr. having 25 for the Lakers last night was ridiculous. All right. Appreciate you guys venting and being frustrated with me, even if we disagree on some stuff, whatever. Everybody's feeling the pain right now. Clippers. Forget this Mike Tyson quote. Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face, but the Clippers' plan is to get punched in the face, apparently, taste their own blood, and then respond. Stop doing that. Please get off to a quick start. It has to happen. But tonight you're getting a different starting lineup out of necessity because no Kawhi, no Bradley Beal. Really, really tough game. It's just, yeah, it's a tough time to see OKC. But we will. Appreciate you guys. Pre-game show right back here at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Love you all, Clipper Nation. In it together. 76 games left. Keep the faith.